that this is happening.
Yes, Sissy.
I'm just a small town girl
Yes.
from a city, a town called Wycliffe, Ohio. By the way, my sister Brenda flew here tonight from Wycliffe, Ohio. To be with me tonight. She's my baby sister. But you can drive through Wycliffe in 5 minutes. And when I was growing up, everybody told me all the things that I could never do. I was one of few blacks that lived in the city of Wycliffe, and we lived in the flats. And I would go and sit on top of the hill, which was called Johnny Cake Ridge. And I would overlook the flats, which led to Lake Erie. And I would watch the B&O Railroad, and you could hear the whistle in the middle of the night. I would always wait for that before I go to sleep, because I'd wonder where it went, where these people were going, where these goods were going, and were they coming back? And I would dream of horses that would fly me away, and I would think, you know, how am I ever going to be able to get west of the Mississippi? I always wanted, thank you. Oh, you know me too well. I always wanted to go somewhere, you know, but everybody kept telling me, you're never going to be able to do that. Everybody wanted to put me in a box. And my parents told me, you'll never be the type of person that was ever in a box. And when I told my mom that I wanted to go to California, she said, you were meant to do something special, and I know it's not here. And she's always...
Come on, Mommy. Come on, Mommy.
So when I think of women of power, I think of, you know, let me sidetrack for just a minute. I just finished writing my autobiography, which is entitled Plain Jane, and I started it in 2000, and I just finished it in December. But the one thing that I tried to do is the first quarter, which is in reference to my career in the NFL today. The first quarter is Jane Harrison, which talks about my family, how I grew up. The second quarter is Jane Kennedy, which talks about Hollywood. And the third quarter, Jane Overton, which talks about being a mom, the best job I ever had and the most difficult job I ever had. And my 4 daughters are with me here tonight. Savannah, Copper, Cheyenne, and Zaire. And they're my reason for being. And through them, I know that everything is possible.
Amen.
But the fourth quarter is entitled Plain Jane, when you find your own authentic identity. And when you finally, you're no longer somebody's title. You're not a parent, you're not a wife, you're not a mother, but who are you? Who is Jane at her core? So that's why I called it Plain Jane. And for maybe the 5 years, you know, after I finished the rest of the book, I couldn't figure out what the final chapter was. And I finally figured it out because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me finding my, well, I shouldn't tell you this. You gotta find the book, right? Okay, I'm gonna go with a different story. Hopefully the book will be out next year. But the bottom line is, you have to be able to, as a woman of power, you have to be able to find out who you are and to be able to do the things that you desire, find your passion, and go after it without somebody telling you that you have to do it one way or another. Be willing to dare to reach for something that no one has ever achieved to do. Be willing to go outside of the box, way outside the box, and find out what it is that you want to do, and be willing to be the woman, be the Michelle Obama that shows up in a sleeveless dress if she wants to.
Yes.
Don't let people tell you have to, if you want to be taken serious as an actress, you can never be a dancer. If you want to be taken seriously as a dancer, you can never do corporate endorsements. If I waited for any one of those things, I would have been broke. Seriously, because they didn't offer those opportunities for women in the 70s, for black women especially in the 70s. And I came out of the 60s where you had the flower power movement, burn your bra, burn your draft card, king assassinations, presidential assassinations, everybody, Vietnam protests, I grew up right around the corner from the Kent State shootings and murders. So you couldn't tell me that I was going to go to Hollywood and I was going to be successful, because I didn't believe you. That if you said that I couldn't do it. So I got in a car, and not knowing anybody in Hollywood, I ventured. Took me 1 month to get there, and I went with my then husband. And I remember we pulled up into Hollywood, and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And he said, I was in the back seat asleep, and he said, Jane, wake up. We're here. And the very first thing that I saw when I opened my eyes, we were pulling into downtown, and there was a sign, a street sign, and it said Hope Street. And I took it as a sign for me. And then this morning, I woke up, and I picked up my cell phone, and it's what now? Almost 50 years later? I picked up my cell phone, and I turned on my Instagram, and the very first post is a little girl, and her project that she turned in for a 3rd grade living museum was a frame, and she was pretending to be Jane Kennedy. She had written my name on the sides of the frame. She had a Miss Ohio banner, 1970, and she was standing there with a little football. And she had a dream in her heart. And guess what her name was? Faith. So when you have a goal and you decide that you're going to be a woman of power and that you're going to be successful, be willing to take the blinders off and not just focus on what's ahead of you, but look at the flowers on the side. Look at the little signs that may pass you by if you're constantly wearing blinders. Look at the hope sign. Look at the little girl whose name is Faith. And let that empower you to go forward. Let that be your guide. Don't be so stubborn that you can't change directions. And don't be the one that's always saying, I want it this way, I want it this way, and I'll have it no other way. Because you don't really know what you want to be yet. So when you're going out and you're trying to make ventures, I always think of my father, who passed away 4 years ago. And whenever I go back home to visit him, I go to the gravesite and I take a cup of coffee. He loved his coffee. And I pour it next to the headstone. And last October, I just sat there. And I talked and I talked and I poured my heart out and I told him all the things that I wanted to do. I was relaunching my career. Doctors had told me I wasn't going to lose any weight, which I've now lost 70 pounds. So I'm going for more.
Yeah, you did.
I never let people tell me what I can't do. Right? So, you know, I just unleashed and I poured my heart out to my father, and I was hoping that he would give me a sign and tell me what to do and all of that, you know. And it was October, my favorite time of year. And after I said what I wanted to say for about an hour, and I just sat there and I tilted my head up in the air and I just kicked back and let the wind blow through my hair and, you know, enjoying the day. And all of a sudden I heard my dad's big booming voice. He said, what the hell are you waiting for? I told you what to do. I've already given you everything that you need to do. You just gotta get up and do it. Just do it. And that's what I would like to leave you with today. Just do it. And be willing to be daring. Be willing to tack those closed doors, tear them down, kicking and screaming if you have to. Because it's only the loudest voice that gets heard. So just be daring, be bold, and have hope and have faith in your heart. No one could have ever told this little town girl from Wickliffe, Ohio, that she would grow up to be here one day.
You did it.
Never in my wildest dreams.
I hear you out.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Black Enterprise for the recognition, because I'm sitting in my office trying to figure out how I'm going to relaunch my career for people that don't even know who I was, millennials who are running the industry now who weren't even born back when I was in my heyday. And now Butch Graves is heading Black Enterprise, and I met him when he was 13. His dad invited me to the house for Christmas one day, you know, and all of a sudden I get this call out of the blue. Jane, we want you to be our honoree this year. So thank you so much to Black Enterprise. Thank you so much to my Jane 2.0 unfinished business team, Frank Wheaton. Thank you to my sisters who aren't here, my sister who is here, my little brother, who, when I left, sweetest story, and then a little bit, I know we have a time schedule, but he was 6 years old when I left home. Didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave my family. We were a strong knit family. But he said, Jane, can we take a walk? And he's my only brother. And we walked down to the end of the street. He didn't say a word, had his hands in his pocket the whole time. Got to the end of the street, and he pulled out a penny. And he said, if you keep this penny, you'll never go broke, and then I don't have to worry about you. So, show up. Show up for your family, show up for your friends, show up for your coworkers. And that's all I gotta say.